Hello everyone, hope everyone's doing well. So now today we're going to be remaking a render that I found on Pinterest. I actually think it's a real photo, I don't know, real photo, render, no idea, but this is it. This is what we're remaking today. So I'm going to show you the process of what do we want to do? We want to put that back there actually. On there. Image editor. So setting up our workflow. We've got here's going to be a viewport of the view of the camera. So the camera angle that we got is just general viewport. Then we've got here we'll have an image of the reference image, just to always have it there to refer to. And then here we'll have a shader editor to mess around with shaders without having to go to the shader tab. So we're going to save this Blender file. So I got this model off CG Trader. I did pay for it. So if you want to follow along with the tutorial, you will have to go and get this model, or you can apply all the techniques in this video to a different product render of similar style of a different product. It does not have to be a GoPro. You can go and get the GoPro model that I bought if you want. I'll put a link down below to the CG Trader link to the one that I bought, or you can model a GoPro yourself if you look up for a tutorial for that, or just spend some time modeling it. Maybe I'll do a tutorial on how to model it in the future if that is requested. Or if you have a different product that's similar, it's like a technology product, similar materials or something, and you want to make a product render with the same background and lighting, then you can just take the techniques from this video for your product instead. It does not have to be a GoPro. So we're going to make a new Blender file called GoPro, and then we're going to get what we downloaded. We're going to stick them in. Let's post on Instagram that we're live. Okay, so let's get everything in. We got a Blender file, got an FBX file to play with. Very nice, very nice. All right, let's save this and let's just open the Blend file. It's a lot easier. That's why I like loading stuff off CG Trader that has a Blend file. Obviously, our material is a bit low poly. Model is a bit low poly, so we'll do a little bit of magic in post-processing, as well as we can just work with it a little bit. We can't work with it here because it's a mess. I would recommend you buy the other models on CG Trader maybe. I only bought this one because I didn't have to exchange it with someone to get didn't have to request the original designer to convert it to FBX for me, because the only options were 3ds files and I don't work 3ds. So okay, let's see if we can clean it up a bit. So a little lesson here, if you want to clean anything up. I think I haven't done this in a while, so give me a sec, and it might have moved because this one, isn't it, remesh. Okay, obviously we have a lot of parents going on here, so what we're going to do is select everything, parent, clear parent, and keep transform. So now we've just got loads of separate objects. We're going to join, yes, we're going to, okay, make a new file called separate. I know I spelled it wrong, but I don't really mind. Shift D over, drag them into the separate one. Then we're going to join these ones just so we have a backup. Join, call this GoPro. GoPro. Hide separate. Okay. Now let's remesh this. Okay, let's object geometry. Alt N. Nope, that's normals. Object edge. Alt J, that's it. Nice, 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 nice. Okay, let's clean it up a bit. At least our corners are more smooth now. Now if I shade smooth. Okay, if I subdivide this. Again and again. Again and again. Okay, so now at least it's smooth-ish. Obviously the top isn't. But now we can work with things. Our other option is to remove just keep it low poly, or we can, I'm trying to think. So the higher this number is, the normals are not facing the right direction. Face orientation. Well, they pretty much are actually. Not actually uses too much, so give me a sec. Okay. Okay, how much of a mess is this then? Pretty bad. The thing is, this is fine-ish, although I have Jadis, that's probably why. Let's look at this. Alright, we'll post-process it. Okay, that's what we'll do. Okay, let's open it into our blend file. The whole idea of this video was to showcase how to do
product lighting exactly how it is in this GoPro video. Not necessarily GoPro image, not necessarily the model needs to be perfect. So no, tis what tis. Okay, so let's go to 1, make sure that's lined up. So the way I work with my camera rig for this is add a camera in a separate collection. Got 90, 0, 0, actually 0, 0, 0 on all the rotation values. Then if I look into the camera on this viewport, leave that there, then turn off this one and this one, so there's nothing showing up in the rendered in this view apart from the camera and what it sees, none of the external stuff. Then what we're going to do is go into viewport display in the green camera tab of the camera, and the pass out's going to go up to 100. The GoPro is going to go up. We're going GoPro camera is going to go up to back here, and then move it down this, so it's basically in the middle. Next we're going to add a empty axis, but it's going to be cube. Okay, we're going to scale the cube down to the correct size, about the size of the product ish, doesn't really matter too much. Put it in the middle, so look from the top view. Then we're going to call this cam rig. I'm going to select camera and then cam rig afterwards, so it's the main selection, the one in yellow. Right click parent and object. Now our camera is parented to our empty axis. Now what we do is to set up a nice rig. I got this from a YouTube video. Is as we move this around, you can see we have a rig which goes round in a perfect circle that focuses on our empty axis. In that case, that is our product. Now we can move the rig up and down to change that. Main thing is you need to make sure you don't do is you're not accidentally rotating the camera instead. That will mess things up. So if I rotate the camera like this bit, like this, yeah, that looks nice, and then remove this, then we're going to get in a bit all sorts of trouble trying to work it out. Just make sure the camera is always set to 0, 0, 0. Unless you're trying to do a very specific thing where you move the Z axis a little bit to get a bit of a wonky look. Other than that, you want to change these values of the rig, and then you can use the scale to zoom in and out. And you can change the focal length of in millimeters or field of view for the camera to change the look a little bit. I'd recommend a higher number for millimeters and field of view, and a lower number for field of view if you're looking to do product renders up close especially. So camera rig, right, let's make it 90. Now let's open up our reference image. So to do that, you can actually do this if you just go onto your computer, take the image and whack it in there. I can just have a look there, and I can have that always with me. So as you can see from this, it needs to be it's looking, our camera is, so go on camera rig, and then let's rotate it this way a bit. Okay, and we want to zoom out a bit. Then we want to go down a bit on the camera rig, and it's looking up. The only value I would recommend changing for the camera would be the Z axis, which is just change the tilt on which the camera is looking. Don't change the X1, that can make some not very nice images, can mess with distortion. But one thing you can do, let's just say for example, if you increase this upwards, change the camera tilt, you can then make it have like a more of a top-down view, not quite obviously bird's eye view, but a bit more top-down. In this case, we need to do the opposite. Obviously, you could just do this and then rotate this down, right? But if you did that, then the focus point would still be up here. You just have to remove this down, and you get a relatively similar, result. You're basically just saying that the camera's moved up and it's tilted down more. Just two different ways to do it. You can either just leave it here and then change the camera tilt down. Camera tilt down. Right. Point is here and just looking down, or you can move this down and then make this 0. Move this up, sorry, and then tilt this like this. And let's move it down.
whichever I bit. Personally, I find the second version easier. So for this, we're going to need to move the camera rig down, and then we're going to have to rotate the Shift Y number to make this work to get an angle which is similar. We could hide this. If you go into our old GoPro, if we go into this one, now I think I will actually just want to bring in everything. GoPro, save, go Pro 2, add this in, and then I'd actually like to just remove these, move this over to where the other one is, exactly, and remove that, and parent, click parent, keep transform. There you go. Okay, so you can see we need to increase this a bit more, like this, and I would say our rig needs to be a little bit more to the right, because then a bit more of a sort of angle, and then maybe down a bit again, and we have a very similar camera angle to the one in the reference image. And that is the way that I set up my rigs a lot of the time. Now, if you're doing animate, the reason I do that is because I do this. This is mostly for animation, but when I do still shots, I set up like this as well, because I find it a very easy way to navigate around the product to get some different dynamic angles. What you can do is, when you animate now, you can animate the values of this. You do like spin around animations. You can go up, down, and then you can of course get it to focus back on this. And do all sorts of cool stuff, fly arounds and stuff. But we'll leave it like this for now. A little bit more to the right. You can see it has that. There's perfect. Okay. Now we'll zoom in a bit more. So camera rig and then zoom. Then up a bit. Of course, we have our different color though. It's a different model, okay? It's a different model GoPro, but it's very similar, so we'll just leave it like that for now. You can always change the color in Photoshop if you want to make it red to match more the reference. Blue. So let's go change it to cycles. Device, GPU, compute. Viewport denoising on. The maximum in the viewport we want to be 32. Now in the render, we want the maximum 4096 is very high. 1028 will do for this render. Noise threshold we can leave as is. Denoiser we're going to change to optics. Albedo and normal. Other than that, that's not too much. We're not really going to change too much other than that. Now a world output. We're going to make a new thing called new collection called background, and then we're going to add a plane. Bring it down a bit. Down a bit more so it's out of the view, and then we're going to move this edge in, and then we're going to E to extrude it up, and then we are going to rotate it this way in the angle of our. We don't really need to do that. We could do that. That's fine. Doesn't really make a deal. And then we're going to Control B this edge, so bevel it up on the scroll to add more edges, and right click and shade smooth to create our background. Now with the wide output, we're actually going to set that to 0, so we have absolutely no light. Now we're going to create a new collection called lighting. You can see from the lighting from this reference image, we have a main light coming from the right. The way I know this is because you can see this side is a lot brighter than the other side. You can tell you've got that contrast of lighting from right to left, where it goes light and then dark. So we're going to add a light on the right hand side of the GoPro. I should probably check that we're actually
streaming. Yeah, we're all good. Can I hear myself? Yeah, we're all good. Can I hear myself? Yeah, it's all good. Alright, so we're going lighting. We're gonna add a area light. And to start off with, we're just gonna do a nice and simple. Reduce the size. Gonna be on the right hand side because that's where the light is coming from in our reference image. We're trying to recreate it, and then we're gonna change the angle. Now I'd say it is a bit more further down. Okay, and right a bit. Okay, then we can increase the amount a bit. Then we're going to change our background to match the color background. So, in the reference image, which is dark grey, so I'm going to right click that, make sure it matches nicely. Now I think the way they've done it in this is it looks very much like that is just a rendered background added over the top. So if you want to leave it like this with the gradient in the background of the actual plane, you can do that. Otherwise we could just turn off our background and leave it like this. In that case though, when we turn that off, we get no reflection coming off the bottom of the so the way light works in Blender, I'm not sure about other programs, but it tries to represent real life. So what's happening is the light is coming from the light here, it's hitting the side of our GoPro, then it's going down, and it's bouncing back off. Now you can change in the settings, we'll do it now, why not, light paths, and change it to full global illumination. This will slow your computer down and the render speed, but it increases the amount of global illumination. Global illumination is basically how, I'm not really super technician about it, I don't really know the proper details, but the bottom of this GoPro will get lit up slightly because of the light bouncing back off this light. It's not going to be so linear to the point, so Eevee doesn't have this unless you add an add-on, unless they changed it. So okay, it has a tiny bit, right? So light comes here, and then it's very, very dark in this corner, because the way Eevee sees it is there's a light coming from here, it's shining on the side, and this side's not getting any light, which it isn't. But the way real light works is that it will come mostly harsh on this side, because that's where the main source of light's coming from, but it will bounce off stuff in the environment, which will mean it will bounce back and light up a little bit. Now the brighter we make this, the more light will shine on the bottom of our GoPro. And now I'm actually going to use this technique, so that's why sometimes it can be like unrealistic if you take your render, if you turn off the background, okay, so you're like, okay, yeah, nice, then I put it in the Photoshop, and then you add a slightly lighter grey background. It doesn't look right because basically the lighting's been set up here with absolutely complete black darkness around. There's nothing here. There's the world light is turned off, so there's no global illumination from that. So if I turn this on, you see how it starts to illuminate the bottom. That's not super realistic, but it can be useful in certain scenarios. But no, that's off. So there's zero light. That's like a black hole. It's just no light, apart from the one here. And also there is no object to bounce light off. So there is actually zero light coming from that's going to bounce back up. There's nothing to bounce the light back up to the bottom of our GoPro. So that's not going to be lit at all. So when you add that into a slightly lighter grey background, it's not going to make sense. So as you can see, when I change the color of the background, it's going to increase the amount of light on the bottom half, on the bottom of our GoPro, because not sure if this is how it works in real life, but it's how it works in Blender. When it reflects off a brighter surface, it just reflects more light onto the bottom of the GoPro. I don't really know how else to say it. So I could do two techniques to have, as you can see from my reference image, there is light on the bottom. There is light on the bottom, there definitely is. And it does kind of look like there's a very soft light coming from the other side. So let me just add a little light from this side. Okay, like this. The reason I feel like there is because you can see the reflection in the mirror of the okay, so add it here like this.
and then increase it down a lot. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to emulate the light flare, that's the sort of light that's reflecting in the mirror with this light here. I'm trying to emulate that. So it's very sharp in the image and a lot brighter in this one. So usually the way you deal with that is with the size, but it's not quite the effect that we want. In that case, I believe I should change technically the glass on this. It means that the glass material here is not quite right. Makes sense, probably because it's a low poly model, didn't cost that much to buy, so it's all wrapped in one material as well. So not really much we can do about that. If I had more complete control, I would change the glass material on this lens so the reflection of the light was sharp and not soft. But what we're going to do instead, we're going to try and get as close as possible, or we could just add it in post. There's always that option available there. So we're going to increase the size until it's as minimal as possible. And then we can change the rotation if we want. Okay, so if I wanted to, there's two ways I could make the global illumination on the bottom of this work the same as it is in the render. Two options. I can change the color of the bottom of the background here, and then that will change the global illumination on the bottom and get it to a point where it's relatively similar. Okay, or so I could do that, or I could just turn this off, so now we got none, go into the world output, then increase that to a point where it's similar. But I can definitely see now that there is some light shining on the front. So if I duplicate this, make it bigger, rotate it like this, move it across, let's make it actually line up with the model. The reason I know there is some light shining on that side is because you see there's a shadow generated here. So there is a light that is shining. As I increase this, increases the light on the front and the darkness of the shadow down here. Now the world output can go down a bit, and then we can reduce this to more accurately represent that. Then I think we should increase our side light, exposure of the side light like that. And then in that case we could just press not denoise, we can go to this tab here. Where is it? Let's remove all these so we can actually see what we're doing. Film, here we go, transparent, and then we would get something similar. Now we can label this one reflection. I'm thinking of adding this in post instead. I feel like it would do better, so let's do that. Now you can't actually really see too much the lack of smoothness on our thingy, so that's quite good. Happy with that. And then let's change the size of this a bit, make sure it's not leaking to the side. Seems like it's quite a thingy light. Let's reduce it like
that. Then let's reduce our front light a bit more. And then our global illumination, so the bottom is darker. So we've got three things we're changing here. We can change the side light brightness, which is that main source of light on the side. If I turn this off, it definitely wouldn't look very good. So the amount there, then we can change the front, which changes how bright the front is. And the bottom will be the global illumination, the world output. Go to nothing, won't be able to see anything like that. We can also change in here, color management. We can change this to a different amount to get more contrast. But I think that's something I want to do in post, so I'll just leave it on medium for now, which is the standard. Now you can see if we turn this on, if I try and match this exactly, it's going to look pretty good, but that's not going to make the global illumination correct, so we'll leave that for now. Why do you use area lights and you don't use emission lights? Doesn't it give you better control over the size and range of lighting with an emissive material? I used to use emission lights. In the end, it doesn't really make too much of a difference whether you use emission or area. They're very similar. I don't really know specifics to what exactly the benefit of both. I used to use emission lights. What I found, I felt like emission lights produce more noise because you have an actual material. Also, I felt like adding a object, like lots of objects. I assume you mean we make a plane, and then so if I took this out, okay, and then added a plane, scaled it right, scaled it like this, scaled it down, make it like this size, and change the material to an emissive one, so light, and then emission shader, like this, and increase the up, and then right, like this. And then forward a bit. So this is the result with emission light, with a emission light. So emission plane, okay. And then this is a result with an area light. Really, there's not really much difference. I feel like with the emission, you can change the strength, of course, and you can change the size, but you can also change the strength and the size of a area light, but you can also do something like turn off the shadows, which I believe with an emission light you can turn off the shadows that the object creates. So if you go visibility camera, this is not going to appear in the camera, but the light will still shine. You can change things like this. By all means, you can do that with an area light too, and with the area light you can make it into a portal. So what that does is it takes all the light in the scene, or the world output light, so the HDR light and the world output, and it funnels it into the direction that the area light's facing. What else can you do with this? The size, it does pretty much the same thing as the emission. Honestly, I think if you used both, it wouldn't really make too much of a difference. I feel like you have more direct control over the reflection with an area light though. See, if I scale this up, it changes the harshness of the light. So if I go down, you see it's more harsh, and it spreads the light out as it gets larger, but it doesn't leak into the bottom of here. If I go on the emission light and I bring it up, it starts leaking into the bottom. Maybe you prefer that, maybe not. Maybe if I introduce the strength, it wouldn't so much. They're very, very similar. You couldn't really tell much of a difference. Essentially, what one is doing is one's a plane emission, like giving out emission light, and the area light is essentially just another plane emitting light. So there's not really so much of a difference, really. So if you want to use emission planes, do the exact same thing. One from the side, one from the front, and then use the global illumination to change the bottom. It'd be the same workflow. So okay, I think it's time to render out. So let's render it out. That went extremely fast. Was that the correct
Not what's them. Might as well go 428 samples in. Because there's not much in the scene. No problem, man. No problem. No problem at all. Okay, so obviously, as I mentioned, the GoPro model is low poly. So I bought it. Probably should have checked it first, but I wanted to get this tutorial done before I have to go at like 4:10, so in like 5-10 minutes. So I wanted to get this tutorial done before then, and so I just bought it quick. So it's a low poly model, but you can use these techniques for a different product. It's different product with the same style, or you can model the GoPro yourself, or you can buy a better version, whatever you want to do. So if I look at our reference image here, I'd say that our side light is a bit strong, don't you think? Our front light's for everything else like front. I think our side light's a little bit too strong. So go onto the side light and reduce it a bit. Okay, and then render image. Then I can change some of the imperfections, like here with the model in post. Process you would not have to do if you bought a better model than I did, or you modeled it yourself. Progress 1. Okay. Now what I would do is go off. Let's go into our post-production. Progress. Very quick tutorial. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Let's go into Photoshop. What is this, by the way? I don't know. It's gone now. Okay. And then we would add in our, so what I'm going to clean the edges up, because as you can see they have some imperfections here due to the model. That is not because of anything I did with the rendering or anything I've done in this tutorial. It's just because I bought a low poly GoPro model. I just recommend using a better one or making it yourself. So let's add a background. So right click, solid color, and then if we go into our GoPro model, drag this in, we can make it the exact same. So actually we'll make a new one, new layer, nope, layer, new layer, sorry, bang, and then let's select that color. Fill selection, boom. Okay, we made it the exact same color. Size wise, if we go into GoPro, if we go into YouTube live thumbnails, that, and then we change the opacity. You see we haven't got the angle perfectly correct, but we've got it very similar, and the sizing is pretty much perfect too. If I just make thingy one a bit smaller. See, the angle is not exactly correct, but I did this off eye. If I wanted to get it perfect, I'd overlay the image in Blender to make sure that it was exactly the same. Okay, let's go view new guide. Let's just get some guides in to make sure we are straight. View new guide, horizontal, make sure bang in the middle. I'd recommend you go convert to smart object filter, camera or filter to our changes to the look of the model. So if we go into shadows a bit, highlights a bit, black shadows down, sorry, whites up, a little bit more dynamic of an image. Texture, we can reduce that a bit actually. Usually I would say increase it, but as you can see our model has some unwanted texture that I don't like, but usually I would increase that definitely. And then I would say temperature slight -1. That's what it would look like. Then I can add in a new layer, new layer, be yellow, add a B, and then make it white. Okay, change it to soft light, and then as you can see our reference image has a little bit of light shining here. Down, the flow needs to go down. It's about here. Flow go up a bit there. I think. There. And it has a white section, so layer, new layer, that goes from here. I'm using the select tool now. Go from here. To here. Select none. And then I can reduce the opacity of that. Then I'll clean that up right now by making this that. Select none, and then clean it up here. Select none, and then I'd add a mask onto this. Black removes, and then we would select here, here, all the way around. Remove the light off there, and then we do the same there. And then anything that's missing off that, remove it so it's not there. Select none. We have a lens flare going on there, which we can reduce in the there if we wanted. We could add a mask to that, and then with full flow, so I'll mask that off a bit. I'd probably clean that up a bit on the outside. It's a bit straighter. Just the opacity. This C works well with soft light, I feel. Or it could be screen and then reduce the amount. There. Then other than removing some imperfections with the model, which I would still do. Other than removing some imperfections with the actual model, I feel like so I just sort of smooth this bit out because of the way the model is. It's not low poly, so I just make sure that's not a hard edge. None of these are hard edges. I will do that a little bit later, and then I'll post on my Instagram the result. Then you can head and watch this stream again for more just very quick tutorial, nice easy tips on product rendering and lighting, not modeling, just the rendering and the lighting of a product. Just some little tips on how, if you see a really nice product render on Pinterest or something, which is where I got this GoPro model image from. I don't know if it's an image or a render, no idea, but it doesn't really matter. I really liked the lighting and the way it was set up. I liked the background, the way the color worked, so I was like, okay, I like this image. I'm going to get I know it's low quality, but that's because I just saved it as a quick thumbnail of Pinterest. It was high quality on Pinterest. I really like the lighting in this. I like the color matches with the GoPro color. So I'm going to get a GoPro model and I'm going to try and recreate it and show people how they can take inspiration from real photography or other people's product renders and essentially copy the lighting from it. Nothing's ever really original, so don't worry about that. They would have copied it from someone else, and they would have copied it from someone else. There's standard lighting techniques that everyone uses, and it's really good to take images, take inspiration from things like Pinterest, for images that really stand out on the page for you, save them onto a board, and then when you look through you think, okay, I have a product here that's similar to this GoPro, let me do lighting similar to this, because I think this is very effective. So I think I've effectively recreated the lighting here, and maybe a few things I would change a little bit further, but I've run out of time, unfortunately. I will make a few adjustments, which I'll say on Instagram. If you follow me down below, it's at ljames3d. You can check it out. I'll make a few little changes to make it more like the reference image, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so thanks everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed this very quick stream. I've committed to uploading every Friday. We are 3 weeks on the trot now. We've actually done it, so I've surprised myself, and hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the day, and thanks for checking into the stream.